After waiting for Moyu to calm down for a while, Xianxia began to inquire about High Heaven sect situation. However, Du Yanling didn't know much news. Black Ink Sea City had been under siege for nearly a year, and had long been disconnected from the outside world. Only when some cultivators occasionally fled into Black Ink Sea City for refuge could they bring them some information. According to the cultivators who had fled, the entrance of the High Heaven sect seems to be surrounded by the corpse spirit religion. No one can get in or out of it. As for the situation inside the High Heaven sect, no one knows. A year ago, the High Heaven sect frequently dispatched the strong to assist the besieged sect forces. However, with the loss of the High Heaven sect strong, the High Heaven sect has also stopped moving in the past year, and the situation seems a bit unoptimistic. However, in order to prevent the High Heaven sect strong people from leaving, a large part of the people of the corpse spirit religion were placed outside the flowing flame sand field for surveillance. It is rumored that they is also a strong protector sitting there. It can be said that although the current High Heaven sect failed to take the initiative to help the human compatriots, its existence has restrained a lot of the fighting power of the corpse spirit religion, which is absolutely indispensable. If this were not the case, Black Ink Sea City would not be able to hold on for such a long time without being compromised. You must know that there are at least 4 corpse generals of the same level as Yi Xian in the corpse spirit religion, not to mention the master who is out of sight and no one knows his true face. After hearing this, Xianxia nodded lightly and didn't ask any more. After a day of rest in Black Ink Sea City, Xianxia took the High Heaven sect people to say goodbye to Moyu. Originally, Xianxia wanted to bring all the people of Clean Sky sect into the High Heaven sect. As long as they entered the flowing flame sand field, they would be able to sit back and relax without worrying about being killed by the powerful corpse spirit religion. But Moyu declined Xianxia's proposal after careful consideration. There are indeed not many disciples of Clean Sky sect left. But in the entire Black Ink Sea City, there are still millions of souls. If the people of Clean Sky sect followed Xianxia, then the millions of souls in Black Ink Sea City would be slaughtered by the corpse spirit religion. Most of these people had escaped in the past 2 years. They came in the name of Clean Sky sect, and Moyu couldn't leave them alone. This idea may be a bit pedantic. However, they got the unanimous approval of the remaining senior leaders of Clean Sky sect. They are all willing to stay with Moyu and continue to guard the last foundation of Clean Sky sect. Xianxia was moved. Xianxia, don't worry. Although I don't know how many people left in Clean Sky sect, but Black Ink Sea City is now well staffed. I will find a way to replenish the combat power. As long as the cultivators here can unite, it shouldn't be a problem to guard this city. Moyu smiled at Xianxia before leaving. Xianxia nodded. In that case, Senior Mo, take care. Holding his fist deeply, Xianxia bid farewell to Du Yanling and the others, and then rushed out of Black Ink Sea City with Su Yan, Shanding Chong and others and head straight towards Flowing Flame Sand Field. Watching Xianxia and others disappear, Moyu looked solemn and waved his hand and said, "Tell all the cultivators in Black Ink Sea City who are above the Saint Realm, if you want, you can temporarily join my Clean Sky sect and protect this city with me." Yes. Du Yanling and others immediately set out to do it. It was not that they had never thought about using the power of the cultivators in Black Ink Sea City before, but the time was too tight. There was no time to do these things, and at that time the corpse spirit religion suppressed the city. The cultivators in the city really didn't have much fighting spirit, and they couldn't exert their own strength at all. Now it's different. The corpse spirit religion that have besieged Black Ink Sea City for a year have been repelled, with countless casualties. It is when Black Ink Sea City's morale is high, it is undoubtedly a good time to strengthen itself and absorb vital power. Black Ink Sea City is away from Flowing Flame Sand Field, relying on Star Shuttle to fly. At least it will take 7 or 8 days. Xianxia is eager to return to the sect and directly use the Void King grade battleship. Although the battleship is huge, it is much faster than the Star Shuttle, and the battleship is sturdy and not rushed, and it is quite safe to stay inside. Passed along the road. encountered a lot of corpse spirit religion scattered teams, as many as thousands, as few as tens of people, all under the leadership of a corpse spirit race, troubled the shadowed stars. The battleships fired a volley of crystal guns. Without exception, these enemies were bombarded, causing heavy casualties. Yang Kai didn't order to stay either, and immediately fly away after one blow. After only 3 days, the number of enemies who died under the battleship's crystal cannon had reached tens of thousands. Only a few of these enemies are the corpse spirit religion, and most of them are human cultivators who have taken refuge in the corpse spirit religion. They follow the corpse spirit religion to do evil and follow the orders of the corpse spirit religion, so they are naturally not kind to them. The powerful human, demon, and monster race powerhouse who were originally staying in the mysterious boundary bead were also released by Young and placed in the battleship to let them watch the slaughter coming along the way. Since they wanted to gain a foothold on the shadowed star, they should naturally connect with this world. Yang Kai wanted them to integrate into this star earlier, so that they could see the martial artist here earlier. Sure enough, after sensing the strength of those enemies, Ling Taishu, Thunder Dragon and Zhang Yuan were silent, but everyone's eyes flashed with a desire to become stronger. Lin Yunair showed activity in line with her own age. When she remembered that she was about to return to High Heaven Sect, she was very happy to see the people she missed. She was like a lark along the way, surrounding Yang Kai, twittering non-stop. Su Yan and Sha Ningchang both liked this little girl. After learning of her tragic fate as a child, the two motherly instincts were so in love that they couldn't help crying, leaving Yang Kai speechless. 3 days later, the Void King grade battleship went to the outskirts of Flowing Flame Sandfield. Standing inside the battleship, through the polished, smooth and transparent crystal glass, Yang Kai saw densely crowded figures gathered around the periphery of Flowing Flame Sandfield, and he couldn't see the end at a glance, and he didn't know how many thousands of people gathered here. So many. Yang Xiaoju was also taken aback. It really looks like they're targeting our High Heaven sect. Chu Hani said coldly. According to the City Master Du, our High Heaven sect has now become the last piece of paradise on the shadowed star. This is not only a matter of speaking, but also a symbol, an invincible spiritual pillar. As long as the High Heaven sect is still there, shadowed star will not give up resistance, and if I am the leader of the corpse spirit religion, I will do my best to attack. Lin Yurao said faintly. Others nodded their heads, expressing agreement with this view. Sect Master, should we go through? The disciple of the High Heaven sect who was in charge of controlling the battleship turned his head and asked. Kill them. Yang Kai's expression was cold and severe. Yes. The High Heaven sect disciple took the order and started to command the battleship crystal cannon with a look of excitement. Surrounded by so many enemies, he was also quite angry, and Yang Kai's orders undoubtedly gave him a way out. Booming. Lines of pure white beams of light blasted from the battleship crystal cannon, and everything passed by the beam of light became nothingness. This Void King grade battleship built by Yang Yan herself, has excellent performance and ability to siege a city, and the energy source that inspires the crystal cannon is the Saint Crystal source condensed by stone puppet Xiaoxiao, which had as the power of the crystal cannon. Under the volley of crystal cannons, the momentum was terrifying, as if the end of the world was about to come. Each crystal cannon can sweep out a large area of open space, and all the corpse spirit race and the human cultivators who take refuge in them can't resist, and they will be turned into ashes at a touch. There was a riot below. The pitch-black battleship that was more than 10 feet long appeared in the sky, which had originally brought an extremely depressing atmosphere to the corpse spirit race, but now they showed hideous faces, and they were naturally terrified. Some human cultivators recognized the origin of the battleship and began to flee, while shouting. No matter what, the battleship rushed into the sky above the place where countless enemies gathered, shooting down crystal cannons one after another. The ground shook and the mountains shook, and huge pits appeared on the ground, billowing with white smoke. And inside the battleship, Yang Kai felt something, turned his head and looked in one direction, and sneered, "There is a big fish over there, I will meet him. Junior brother, be careful." Suyan and Xianxia had just finished telling him, and Yang Kai had disappeared. On the periphery of Flowing Flame Sand Field, there is a palace that seems to be newly built. The palace is not big and only occupies an area of several tens of meters in radius, but it is very magnificent. It looked a little out of place in this barren, fiery Flowing Flame Sand Field. In the palace, a man in white was lying reclining on a magistrate's chair, with a lazy posture, his hand on his chin, and a wicked smile at the corner of his mouth, looking at the dozens of gorgeous women singing and dancing below. These women have all come as a tribute from the major forces to the corpse spirit religion, and each of them is beautiful, and they are the rising stars of those forces, but now, they seem to be playthings, and they can only be used for this man in white for fun. They seemed to be very afraid of the white-clothed man, occasionally meeting his eyes, and hurriedly put aside. Everyone's movements were cautious, for fear of making mistakes. The earth shook, the palace was trembling, and there were amazing energy fluctuations and humming sounds coming from not far away. The white-clothed man's face sank. He sat up straight, and sternly asked, "What's the matter?" The dozen young girls singing and dancing below all stopped and looked around blankly. Immediately someone rushed in from the outside and said in a panic, reporting to Kong Protector, "A black battleship has come in from the outside and is massacring the disciples of my corpse spirit religion." Presumptuous. Who is so brave? The white-clothed man stood up abruptly, and an astonishing aura spread, and the dozen or so girls were so frightened that their faces pale and hugging each other. Subordinates don't know. The cultivator who came in to report replied helplessly. "What do you want to say?" The white-clothed man snorted coldly, and as soon as he reached out his hand, he grabbed the cultivator who reported the news. His hand seemed to have crossed the space barrier and grabbed the opponent directly. With just a slight twist, he broke the neck of the cultivator. More than a dozen girls exclaimed the panic, and their eyes became more intense. "And? Actually dare to take the initiative to come. Interesting." The white-clothed man suddenly raised his head and looked at the void. After dozens of miles, he released his spiritual mind and confronted Yang Kai fiercely. Boom. Where the spiritual minds fight, the void collapses. Inside the palace, the white-clothed man stepped back a few steps, as if he was not an opponent. To be continued.